Good day, students. This is your instructor for art appreciation, Kenneth Alvin Cinco. For this session, I would like to thank you all for, well, it's an advance thank you to those who will be listening. And this would be my request as your instructor. We are discussing art appreciation. So, therefore, I would like you to please listen and watch the presentation, of course, and take notes of the important parts because this will also be included in our assessment and in our quiz. Okay? So, for our session for today, this is the creative process, medium and technique, and also philosophical perspectives in art. Buckle up and let's start. For this presentation, we will be dividing so that our discussion will be organized. We will be dividing the presentation into three. First will be the creative process. The second one is medium and technique. And also, the third one will be philosophical perspectives in art. Now, let's start with the creative process. Basically, the question here is because last time I know and well, I'll just have a little recap. Last time we discussed about artists and artisans as well as what our government, the Philippines, is doing to honor these living treasures. Alam naman natin na para sa mga artesano, nandyan ang Gamabaw, ang Gawad Manlilikha ng Bayan. At para naman sa mga national artists, nandyan ang Order of the National Artists. Pero, it also begs us the question, what is the creative process of these artists? No, we just look at artists, we just look at their works, we just look at artisans. However, it begs us to ask, what is the creative process of these artists? How do they do their art? And with that knowledge, we can also apply it to how we will do our art. Okay? So, let's try to discover what do they do and what is the process. Now, Robert Fritz has these steps in the creative process. So, he identified 5, no? So, according to him, they start or artists start with conceiving the result. When you do something that is like for example an artwork, a visual artwork, a painting or a graphic design or a logo, or let's say for example a sculpture or a dance, no? We always start with what is the result? We ask the question, what result would we like to produce or would we like to have? So, it creates us in our minds, it creates in our minds this direction. Because if there's no conception of a result, if we don't look at the image of the final product, we can't determine what are we doing, right? So the first step for Robert Fritz is to actually conceive of the result of what we're doing. And number 2, know what currently exists. As what we have discussed, art is actually being original, being creative, right? So, alam natin na dapat ang isang artista ay malikhain. Ano ba ang pagiging malikhain? When we say malikhain, it's actually creativity. But what is creativity? Creativity is going out of the box. So, what is this box that we're talking about? Probably it could be the box of tradition, it could be the box of whatever that has gone before you. Let's say, for example, you are an aspiring poster artist, no? A student who draws posters, uses oil pastel or uses crayons, and you are called to be a participant in a poster making contest. So what edge do you have against the other participants? Because in a poster making competition, you will be given a theme, right? This is the normal thing. that's happening in a poster making competition. You will be given a theme, and then upon this theme, you will conceive of your result, and you will have to manipulate your medium, and you will present your poster. However, how will you be judged? You will be judged according to how did you break from what is currently existing. So kung ano man yung mga poster na nagawa na, paano mo iniiba yung sayo? That's one thing. So you have to know what currently exists. Therefore, if you are a writer, you should read. You should read and read. If you are a writer of short stories, you should read and read of books. If you are a writer of poetry, you should read and read of poems. If you are a painter, you should look at styles, at movements, no? You should look at how certain periods in history have done their art. You should look at how people have already looked into a subject, right? Because as what we have discussed, there are different kinds of subject. Pero these subjects, as we noticed, may be, limited. May be limited. However, what matters is if you know what exists, you know how to break from what is currently there, right? And therefore, it gives you, or it marks you as a creative person. So, after conceiving of the results and knowing what currently exists, number 3 is actually taking actions. So, this is a part where you manipulate your medium, you master your technique, or you actually apply what you're conceiving of in your mind into the real world. This is the process of giving life to what your artwork is. So you take actions, you get your materials, you get your medium, you hone your technique. Which brings us to the fourth one, because we are actually talking of creative process. So this is not just, doing an art, but this is being an artist. Okay? A process is you. So, if you say that, if you ask a question about an artist, what is your creative process? You're actually asking, how do they do things? So, if we think about it, if you now become an aspiring artist, aspiring visual artist or whatever, and you continue on that path, you will not just produce one product, or you will not just produce one artwork. You will have to produce a lot, right? And if you have a heart of an artist, you will produce and produce and produce, and you will start to know that in producing your artwork, sa bawat paggawa mo ng artistikong mga obra, ang nangyayari, nagiging aware ka, nagkakaroon ka ng kamalayan kung para sa iyo ano ba ang dapat na ginagawa sa proseso ng paglikha. So, pumupunta tayo dyan sa pang-apat na steps sa creative process according to Robert Fritz. At ito ay ang pagde-develop ng creativity. So, in developing creativity, this is now your framework. This is your personal procedure. However, this personal procedure may or may not be similar to others. Because when we develop creativity, there are things that we do that we get from others, and there are also things that we discover in the process of doing our art. Let's say, for example, if you're a painter, and then you would like to paint an impressionistic painting. You know what the other paintings of impressionistic nature is. You have already taken action. You have produced a lot of artworks, masterpieces in Impressionism. However, as you go along, as you produce and produce and produce, you know and you discover that there are certain things, or there are certain procedures in using your brush, in putting your canvas, in looking at the light, in manipulating shadow in your painting. There are certain procedures that you are really good at. And there are also certain procedures that you are not good at, or you say that, I will develop this part of me. I'm not really a master of the technique of putting shadow, putting depth. You start to develop that. Now, what happens according to Fritz, implying in this 5-step creative process? Developing creativity is a continuous meditation, is continuous learning. So therefore, as an artist or an aspiring artist, you do not stop at one piece or a one artwork. What you do is to meditate. Meditate and learn from your process, learn what works and what's not working. So in that manner, you develop your creativity by thinking of the things that you're improving on or you should improve upon. So that's how you develop creativity until number 5, you learn the rhythms of the creative process. What rhythms are we talking about? This is not just about music. So in doing art, there are rhythms. Such when what is a rhythm? A rhythm is the play of existence and non-existence. For example, what is music? When we talk about music and when we talk about rhythm, rhythm is actually the existence of sound and silence. So therefore, in the rhythms of creative process, you have to know how to jive and dance with the moments that you have an idea, because there will be moments that you will really think about a lot. Marami kang maiisip na ideya. Merong mga panahon na marami kang maiisip na ideya. Meron ding mga panahon na hindi ka makakapag-isip ng mga ideya. So, existence of ideas and non-existence. Ano pa? Existence of materials. So, merong mga panahon na meron kang material na ganito. Nai-imagine mo, gumagawa ka ng isang poster, tapos ang material mo ay oil pastel. Lahat ng color meron ka, maliban sa blue. Yung nandito sa isip mo, dapat yung pinaka-theme o yung pinaka-tema ng painting mo, blue. Ano naman ngayon ang mangyayari sa'yo? Hindi ka na ba magpe-painting? Of course, that's also part of the rhythm of the creative process. How will you go about, no? You will, because in every work, in every artwork that you will be doing, there will be challenges, and the challenges will range from non-existent materials, non-existent imagination. It will range from challenges with your daily life. It would range from challenges with your work. So, as you want to be a master of a creative process and art, you have to learn how to jive and to dance to the rhythm of the creative process, because this process is not actually just one time. It will exist in every artwork that you do. Okay? So, recap, according to Fritz, there is 5 in order to develop your own creative process. Number 1, you should know how to conceive of a result. Number 2, you should know what currently exists. Number 3, you have to take actions, and after taking actions, repeat and repeat and repeat. You're now developing your creativity. It's creativity within your doing of the current artwork and your meditation of all the artworks and all the processes that you've done all throughout your artworks. And number 5, you're also learning the rhythms of creative process. So, while you are repeating and repeating and repeating the way you do artworks, you're now learning the rhythm. And therefore, you're now learning how to dance with this creative process. In simple terms, we can also summarize actually in a single artwork. What do we do? No, we can also summarize it into 3. First one is germination. So what is germination? We actually have to when we talk about germination, this is term in science where it's the process of letting organic organic creatures, no, letting organic creatures or letting life itself create itself. So when we talk about germination, as what you can see in the picture, it's like letting a seed sprout. In letting a seed sprout, do you what? Do you force it? No, you nurture it, right? So if you have an idea, you nurture it. If you have, let's say, an idea of of a story, so what do you do? If you have an idea of a story, well, you think about one line. Sige, like for we have a line. So you can start with, I would like to write a story about a hero uh, who would be challenged, who would go to many lands, who would encounter giants, and who would get the treasure for himself, slay the dragon. But in the end, the hero will learn that the best treasure in life is not actually the material treasure that you have, no, that you acquire, but it's the experience. So it's not just one work, or it's not just one procedure. When you try to germinate, you ask questions, you conceptualize what will happen to the giant. Who is this giant? What will happen to the person this hero is with? Where will he go? What's that place called? This treasure, what is it like? Is this gold? Is this diamonds? So you're trying to think about these things. Like, for example, if you want to paint, we done that already. If you want to paint, so you ask, what image am I looking? What image am I conceiving of? And in this image, what do I want to say? What are the details? If I change a detail in the image that I'm looking at, what will change? So this is germination. You nurture it. You nurture the idea within your mind. You pour in water for the minerals to absorb, and then for ideas to sprout. So germination may take many forms, actually. Germination may take many forms. Kasi ang paglikha, hindi lang yan, tawag nito, iniisip mo, magagawa mo na. Minsan, mataas ang proseso ng pag-isip ng kung ano ang gagawin mo. So yan ang germination. Pangalawa will be assimilation. So itong assimilation, paano mo na ngayon bibigyan ng buhay ang naiisip mo? What are you, or what will you do in order for that thought, in order for that idea to have life? Okay? So that's assimilation. You will now assimilate the medium. So you will now think about the technique. You will apply the technique in your, let's say for example, if it's a poster, you will now apply your technique of pointillism. You will now apply your technique of wavy lines or weighted lines. You will now apply the technique of playing with shadows or chiaroscuro. So assimilation is that. And this is a process of doing and doing and doing, and up until you reach completion. So what will you do with with completion? Is completion a process? Yes, of course. Because in the completion of an artwork, there is a beginning. What is a beginning in every completion? That is what you will do in the next artwork. So you will be thinking again, what did I do wrong? Ano ba yung mga kulang sa mga nagawa ko? Ano bang pwede kong improve? So, ito ay isa sa mga importanteng parte ng creative process, no? So, we summarize that from 5. We also have a summary, A, B, C, germination, assimilation, and completion. Paano kung marami kayo na gumagawa? Meron din yan. So, pag gumagawa ka ng isang art, o marami kayo, so, kung ang artwork na ginagawa nyo ay pangmaramihan, katulad ng theater, katulad ng dance, katulad ng orchestra, so Ano bang tawag dyan? Minsan, ang nagiging tawag niyan ay meron kang pre-production. Bakit may pre-production? Because sometimes individual artists have to talk with themselves. Individual artists, if they will be producing something that is big, something that requires many artists, you have to talk and you have to plan. Because if you do not plan, what will happen? Your artwork may explode and scatter. So if you do not plan, and if your art is an orchestra, all of you are individual guitarists and violinists, and you also have pianists, and you also have a you know wind instrument specialists, and then you don't have a pre-production, you don't plan, what will happen? Do you think you will harmonize? So you have to do a pre-production. So what is a pre-production? From planning, what will you play, what will be the chronology of the pieces that you will be playing, what is the position of this artist in relation to the other artist, how will the bassist be put, what will be the bassist uh, be looking for in the audience. So that's in the planning stage. And also rehearsals. Actually, in the rehearsals, this is now the transition from pre-production to pangalawa, production o yung medium manipulation. So, if you're in music, you do the rehearsal, right? So, you do now the rehearsal, you do this harmonization. If the guitarist is off tune, well, the director will say you're off tune. So, that's how you adjust with each other. So, the production is medium manipulation. You manipulate all the elements that is in your hand in order to create that vision that you have planned, which sends you to the next level, that is post-production. After your rehearsals and after you have presented, you always have a post-production. What is a post-production? So it's the period after your medium manipulation. So if this is an orchestra, this is after everything that is happening, or after your play, after your music, the applauses are now done. Lahat ng palakpakan tapos na. You have to go and talk with each other so that you will, in the next production, hindi kayo magkakalat. Magsasabi. Yung mga dyan, makaka-relate yan. Yung mga dancer dyan, no? Yung mga gumagawa ng art dyan. Anong mangyayari kapag hindi kayo mag-post-production? Sa susunod na presentation, magkakalat pa rin kayo. Dyan sa post-production, marami dyang lumalabas na mga baho. Maraming nangyayari dyan. Minsan, may nag-aaway na dyan sa post-production. Bakit? Kasi, yung isa magsasabing, hindi maganda yung mga laro ko sa nota ko kasi yung bassist, yung percussionist, hindi naman hindi alam ang tempo, hindi alam yung tamang kumpas. Nagpractice na kami, pero ganun pa rin. Sa susunod, hindi ka na namin i-recommend. So, yan yung mga nangyayari sa post-production. Meron din naman, they will be asking, okay, that was a wonderful production. What did we do? What did we do that made the production successful? These are the kinds of questions that you encounter in post-production. So, these three are stages in making art on a large scale. No? Minsan kasi, yung mga art natin, hindi naman lang, isahan lang yan eh. Meron din yang large scale. Pwede din yang sa mga artisan. Tama, alam naman natin yung mga artisan, yung gagawa ng mga basket, yung nagwi-weave ng mga mat, yung mga nagmo-mold ng mga palayok. Meron din silang post-production diyan. Ano bang nangyari dun sa kalan? Bakit may 3 nabasag? Sino bang naglagay dun? Isa na yun sa yun na yung mga tanong na sa post-production. Okay? So those are 3 stages. Ngayon, alam na natin ang mga stages ng creative process at alam naman natin naman kung paano ang individual at ang pangmaramihan anong mga stages diyan. So punta naman tayo sa medium and technique. Ano bang pagkakaiba ng dalawang to? Ito sa individual na ito, pwede din sa by group, no? Ano ba ang pagkakaiba ng medium and technique? Kasi alam naman natin ang proseso, so dapat alam natin kung what is the difference between what materials you have and how you will use that materials. So that's the difference between medium and technique. Now, let's look at medium. Medium is actually the materials that is used by an artist for an artwork. For example, as you see in the picture. So the medium there is your paints. What kind of paint will you be using? Is this paint acrylic? Is this paint oil-based? Is this paint watercolor? Will you be using pencil only? Will you be using charcoal? So those are the medium. The technique is the artist's ability and knowledge or technical know-how. Dito na lumalabas yung sabi natin sa definition na ang art ay isang abilidad. Diba? Ang art ay proseso, abilidad, at saka product. So dito lumalabas na yung abilidad ng isang artist into using or knowing how to use the medium. Ito'y dalawa, yung nakikita nyo dyan sa screen, ito'y dalawa sa mga examples ng technique in painting, especially expressionist, abstract, expressionism, or impressionism. You have a technique called tinkering. This is using the brush in a certain way, only with form in mind, no? Using the colors, using your hand in a special way so that you will produce a special kind of a special kind of result. Splattering is also another technique. Okay, this is actually using the brush in a certain way that you will create an effect. Okay, that's the example. So, now, tingnan natin sa isang example ang differences ng medium at technique. So, titingnan natin, alam nyo ito, si Apo Wang Od, isa ito sa sikat nating mambabatok o mas kilala sa layman's term na tattoo. So, kilala siya sa kung paano gawin yung tattoo, no? Now, kung titingnan natin, ito yung kaibahan. So, kapag sinabing medium, di ba ang sabi natin kanina, ito yung mga kagamitan na nandyan. So, ano ba yung medium ni Apo Wang Od sa kanyang pambabatok? It's actually ink with mixture of charcoal and water at saka yung katawan bilang isang human canvas. So, ito yung mga gagamitin niya. External sa abilidad niya. Yan yung medium. And technique naman, ito yung batok. O yung kung papaano ilagay itong ink, itong charcoal, doon sa katawan ng tao. Paano ilagay yung charcoal doon sa katawan ng tao. So, ito na yung abilidad mismo ng artist. So, yung technique niya ay pagbabatok, which is hand tapping, no? Meron siyang ginagamit na if I'm not mistaken, that's the thorn of a pomelo. Yung isang merong isang klase ng halaman na ang kanyang katawan ay may mahahabang tinik. Itong tinik na ito kinukuha tsaka ilinalagay niya sa isang stick, minsan mano-mano din. So, isinasawsaw niya dun sa charcoal, tapos ito yung ilinalagay niya sa balat. Minsan din, iba din yung ginagamit niya, ibang medium naman. Pero, yung technique, yung paano ito gamitin, yan yung technique niya. So, Ang prosesong ito, paano naman ang proseso? Ang proseso ay yung uh, procedure ng patuloy na paggamit ng technique. So, ito na yon, tapping into the skin through a thorn end of a calamansi or a pomelo tree. So, that's the process. No? And then, we also have persons involved. Iba din ito. So, yung persons niya kasi, minsan ito yung canvas niya. Di ba? Yung katawan niya. Ito, no? Ito yun. So, tourists, pilgrims, trekkers. So, these are part of the medium and technique that an artisan like Apo Wang Od uses. So, you can see in this presentation, in the pictures there, that there are differences. What is a medium? What is a technique? What is a process? And what are the persons involved? Or who are the persons involved? Okay, so much for that. Alam na natin ang pagkakaiba ng medium at technique. So, na-discuss na natin ano ba yung creative process, na-discuss na din natin ano yung medium and technique. Ngayon, we go to the next one. So, ano-ano naman ba ang philosophical perspectives in art? So, basically, ang tanong natin dito, what are the how does art or how is art viewed by philosophers? Tatanungin natin, bakit tayo magtatanong pa sa mga pilosopo? May mga definition naman tayo. Alam natin, no? We know that there are definitions, we have discussed it already, but we don't know, what we don't know is, what is the essences? What did they see? Hindi naman tayo philosophers. Pilosopo lang. No? So, the question is, what did they see in art? And, in turn, kapag makita natin what did they see in art, maybe we can learn something, right? About art. About paano ba lumalalim ang ating pagtingin sa sining. Ito yung purpose ng third eh. So kanina, sa creative process, sa medium and technique, ito yung external, yung madali. These are the easy parts. What is the creative process? Okay, alam natin ang process, madaling gamitin. Pangalawa, what is medium and technique? Okay, ganito lang pala yun. So, kailangan alam mo yung medium mo at alam mo yung technique. However, paano ba natin palalalimin ang ating pag-iintindi kung ano ba ang art? Yan yung role ng philosophical perspectives. Ano bang sinasabi ng mga philosophers? Yung mga philosophers ay ang tinatrabaho nito pag-iisip eh. So, ano bang mga sinasabi ng philosophers regarding sa art? Yan yung mga tanong natin sa part na ito. So, let's start, no? Tingnan natin, ano ba yung basic na mga philosophical perspectives pagdating sa art? Ito ay mula sa mga philosophers, iba't ibang mga philosophers at iba't ibang mga schools ng art. Okay, tingnan natin. Una, i-discuss natin ang isa sa pinaka-ugat ng Western thinking, ng kanluraning pag-iisip kapag ang pinag-uusapan natin ay ang pamimilosopiya. At ito ay si Plato. So let's ask Plato, what does he mean about art? So Plato says art is mimesis. Ano bang mimesis? Ito ay Greek term which is the root word of the word imitation. So mimesis, that's also a principle in art. What is that? So according to Plato, art is an imitation of what is ideal for human perspectives. So para sa kanya, ang art daw ay isang kopya. Pagkopya sa kung ano yung ideal para sa pagtingin ng tao. Ano bang ideal? Sabi pa niya, art is an imitation of the real that was an imitation of the ideal. Art is an imitation of an imitation. Kasi sabi ni Plato, ang idea kasi ni Plato ay world of ideas. Ang lahat na nakikita natin, finite form lang ito. So, para kay Plato, ang lahat ng nakikita natin, ito'y finite form lamang. Ibig sabihin, may hangganan. Kung nakakakita ka ngayon sa image ko, nakakakita ka ngayon sa presentation ko, kung ano yung nakikita mo, ito'y may hangganan. At sa mundo ng mga ideya, sa mundo ng mga ideas, that is really the source of what is real. So, if you're seeing in front of you, if what you're seeing in front of you is a person that is talking, it's just actually an illusion. What is ideal ay yung hindi natin nakikita. O yung trinatry pang arukin ng ating pananaw. So, ano naman ang art? Ang art ay pagkopya sa kung ano yung nakikita natin, pero hindi lamang doon. Dapat makopya din kung ano pa yung dapat pang makuha na ideya. Example, itong nakikita nyong statwang ito. Tingnan nyo yung statwang yan. Ang statwang yan, actually, that's a statue of Plato. That is a statue of Plato. Di ba, nag-discuss na tayo kay Magritte. So, isipin nyo yung na-discuss natin kay Rene Magritte, yung this is not a pipe. So, tingnan nyo. So, ang statwang yan ay si Plato. Ngayon, kung titingnan ninyo, ang statwang yan ay statwa lang. Hindi natin pwedeng sabihin si Plato yan. Pero, unang tingin pa lang natin, nang nakita natin na si Plato yan, merong effect sa atin. Ito pala yung ano ni Plato. Bakit ganyan siya? No? Bakit yung nasa isip ng artist, ganyan dapat si Plato nakaupo, may hawak-hawak ba yan, nakatitig sa kanyang kaliwang kamay doon. May meaning ba yan? Kung may message ito, ang sinasabi, ang pagkopya ng kung ano yung ideal, ano yung talagang full, hindi lang kung anong makikita mo, kung anong ideal talaga. Ang pagkopya ng kung ano ang ideal, hindi lang pagkopya ng kung anong nandyan. Siyempre, kinokopya mo yan, pero dapat yung ideal form yan. So, kung si Plato yan, tas kinopya siya, ang ideal form ni Plato yan. Kasi kung totoong tao yan, di ba? Kung si Plato lang yan, alam natin na si Plato hindi lang nakaupo. Tama? So, si Plato pwedeng nakatayo, pwedeng lumalakad. So, sa lahat ng pwedeng maging forma ni Plato,